Hello and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for joining us. We begin with a rather disturbing story where the Kebbi State Police Command has confirmed that 25 girls were abducted by bandits from a school, from the Government Girls Comprehensive Senior Girls Secondary School in Maga, Danko, Washagu local government area in Kebbi State. According to the police public relations officer, Nafiu Abubakar, the heavily armed bandits attacked the school around 4 a.m., opening fire as they forced their way into the girls' campus. Now, the police tactical unit engaged the attackers, but the bandits had already jumped the school fence and abducted the 25 girl students from the hostel, fleeing to an unknown location. Tragically, one staff member, Hassan Makuku, was shot and killed. Another, Alicia, sustained a gunshot wound to his right hand. Following the attack, additional police tactical squads supported by military personnel and local vigilante groups were deployed to track the bandits and rescue the abducted girls. The police confirmed that teams are currently combing nearby forests and bandits' escape routes in a bid to recover the girls and apprehend the perpetrators. Now, the 14th Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II, has urged state governments negotiating peace treaties with bandits to ensure the criminals do not spill over into neighboring states. During a tour of communities attacked by bandits in Bagwai and Shanono local government area, the Emir commiserated with the residents and called on them to report any suspicious activity to security agencies. He also commended the Kano state government for its proactive measures to prevent bandit infiltration and commended any ongoing efforts to safeguard local communities.
As you know, for the past few months, we have been having an increase in the spate of attacks in villages neighboring Katsina State, with bandits coming in for cattle rustling, killing innocent people, and kidnapping men and women. It is our responsibility as leaders to come and see our people, to commiserate with them and sympathize with them. And I came to reassure them that the state government is doing everything that it can, along with the security services. The governor has bought vehicles, the governor has provided resources. They can see already the movement of the army and the police in this area. And we'll also encourage them to use their vigilantes to help protect their villages. And we urge the people of Katsina, when they make peace with bandits, to ensure that that peace does not include the right to attack neighboring communities and have a safe haven.
Meanwhile, the U.S. House Subcommittee on Africa will hold an open hearing on Thursday, November 20th, 2025, to review President Donald Trump's recent decision to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern. If approved by the Senate, the CPC designation could allow the U.S. to impose sanctions on Nigerian officials involved in religious persecution and restrict certain forms of bilateral aid, sending a strong signal about the state of religious freedom in Nigeria. The hearing, chaired by the Representative Chris Smith, a Republican from New Jersey, will begin at 11 a.m. in room 2172 of the Rayburn House Office building and will be available via live webcast. Now, 2 panels of experts will testify. The first includes senior U.S. State Department officials, senior bureau officials of the Bureau of African Affairs, Jonathan Pratt, and the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, Jacob McGee. The second panel features the Director of the Center for Religious Freedom, Nina Shea, Bishop Wilfred Anagbe of the Makurdi Catholic Diocese, and Oge Anubogu of the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The hearing will examine the scale of religious persecution in Nigeria and explore potential policy responses, including targeted sanctions, humanitarian assistance, and cooperation with Nigerian authorities to prevent further violence. Staying with the related story to the designation of Nigeria by the U.S. as a country of particular concern, CPC, ahead of the proposed visa ban on members of the Mietiala Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, McBAN, by the U.S. House of Representatives, the association is asking the United States Congress to remove all mention of McBain in the U.S. House Resolution 860. At a news conference in Abuja, the president of the association, Mr. Baba Ngilzama, appeals that McBain is not a violent group that supports, condones, harbors, nor finances criminals who claim to be pastoralists. The association said that Nigeria's pastoral sector is a critical part of the nation's economy and cultural heritage that requires support and not stigma.
Criminals must not be mistaken for pastoralists, and the peaceful pastoral majority should not and must not be profiled because of the actions of few violent individuals who exploit pastoral identities. 7. Appeal to United States Congress and the international community. McBain respectively calls for 1. Revising the HRAS 860 bill to remove all mention of McBain. This is our first belief based on the information we have given above. And based on the record, on the document we have organized and submitted to the American Congress through the office of the American ambassador here in Abuja. Secondly, engagement with credible and local actors, including pastoralists and farming groups, security agencies, and civil society partners. 3. Evidence-based assessment that includes the humanitarian losses of pastoral communities. 4. Support for long-term interventions, including grazing reserve and raised land restoration and development. B. Provision and access to water and veterinary infrastructure. C. Education and healthcare for pastoral families. D. Peace building and cross-community dialogue.
Away from the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern because of the killings in the country, the FCT police command has addressed reports claiming Lieutenant Ahmed Yerima was followed by unidentified individuals in 2 unmarked Hilux vans in Kebbi, with the officer reportedly evading them. Sources noted the vehicles reportedly followed the lieutenant from Nipco station along the Kebbi motorway to Gado-Nasco Road, and an investigation is reportedly ongoing. Police spokesperson Josephine Ade clarified that the police of the FCT has received no official report of any assassination attempt on Lieutenant Ahmed Yerima. She urges the public to ignore such social media claims and avoid spreading unverified information that could cause panic. Police further emphasized that residents should stay alert and immediately report any suspicious activity to the nearest police station. Hundreds of internally displaced persons in Benue State, including students, have received livelihood support items and scholarships to cushion the effect of their sufferings. At the presentation of the items, the national chairman of the APC, Professor Nentawe Yewata, tasked all elected public office holders on the party platform to support the renewed hope initiative of President Tinubu and support vulnerable Nigerians.
This camp in Guma local government area of Benue State provides accommodation for thousands of internally displaced people, mostly women and children, following years of attacks by suspected herders on their communities. With their land and means of livelihood gone, they are left helpless and vulnerable. However, relievers come their way, courtesy of the lawmaker representing the area in the National Assembly. These items, including 141 motorcycles, 36 tricycles, 130 sewing machines, and 153 grinding machines, are meant to support their livelihood.
Our farmers who are generations have sustained our communities, provided food our states and beyond, have been forced to abandon their ancestral land due to insecurity. This intervention is therefore not just an empowerment exercise, but a recovery effort. It's a response to the hardship caused by insecurity and an attempt to help our people rebuild their lives.
You have keyed in to the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President, and we must commend you. In this note, I must implore all your colleagues who are carrying the flag of the APC to come and do the same.
The items are presented to the IDPs. The beneficiaries express gratitude for the gesture.
This machine will help us. We will give it to our children that are homeless, that don't have even anything to do. They will help us to go out and work with this machine and get something to take care of our families.
This keke will help me, and I'm proud to be the first lady that will drive this keke napep in Makurdi. I will use it for business myself. I'll be riding it.
Scholarship awards of 50,000 naira each are also presented to 500 students to support their education pursuits.
The Governing Council of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State, has unveiled Professor Ugochukwu Anyehe as the new substantive Vice-Chancellor of the university for a single tenure of 5 years as part of efforts to ensure a seamless transition between the acting Vice-Chancellor and his successor. Speaking in Abuja at the unveiling ceremony, the Pro-Chancellor and the Chairman of the Governing Council of University, Professor Mr. Olugbenga Kukoyi's decision to announce Professor Anyehe as the substantive Vice-Chancellor is predicated on a thorough and transparent process aimed at preventing a vacuum.
Governing Council members of the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, are here for a final meeting to deliberate on the appointment of a substantive Vice-Chancellor for the university. After a 3-hour meeting held behind closed doors, journalists are invited for the unveiling of the successful candidate.
In line with the University and Miscellaneous Act and the Nnamdi Azikiwe Statute, a selection board was formed, and we were saddled with the mandate that we should go through 14 names and come out with 3 names to recommend to the council. In line with the University and Miscellaneous Act, I will not waste your time. I will now tell the council what we have come up with.
After the announcement, the new Vice-Chancellor is unveiled as he receives his appointment letter. The new Vice-Chancellor, in his address, pledges to transform the university and put it on a global ranking.
I guarantee you here today that we will start work immediately, and one thing I can guarantee you is that in 6 months, Nnamdi Azikiwe will be one of the, at least the ranking will go to the first time in Nigeria, while we look forward to making it one of the best 3.
The new Vice-Chancellor, who is a renowned professor of physiology and clinical measurements with about 2 decades of teaching experience, to take over from Professor Carol Arinze Omobi, who has been serving as the acting Vice-Chancellor following the reversal of the appointment of Professor Bernard Odo as Vice-Chancellor by the President and visitor to all federal universities, President Bola Tinubu.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, says it's become crucial to formally enshrine the responsibilities of traditional rulers in the Constitution, describing them as pillars of national unity. Speaking in Lagos during the handover of operational vehicles to several first and second class monarchs, including those of Ikorodu, and that the gesture was emphasized to strengthen the nation's traditional institutions. He added that the ongoing constitutional review is actively considering this proposal, given the role traditional rulers play in conflict resolution, intelligence gathering, community mobilization, and cultural preservation.
In a diverse and complex federation like ours, Stable and credible traditional institutions are not a luxury. They are essential pillars of national cohesion. Supporting them does not compete with investment in schools, hospitals, or infrastructure. On the contrary, our action reinforces those investments by ensuring that communities are stable, organized, and receptive to development. More importantly, our intervention aligns fully with the renewed hope agenda of our dear leader, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which places strong institutions and community-rooted leadership at the heart of national renewal. This is why the National Assembly is pursuing a constitutional amendment to define and protect the role of traditional rulers.
Former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, has declared his intention to contest the 2027 governorship election in Kebbi State. He made this known during an interview with journalists, saying he has the support of the people of the state. He criticized the ruling APC, saying the APC has caused hardship, particularly in northern Nigeria. According to him, many farmers have been forced away from their farms due to insecurity. Mr. Malami explained that he is contesting to salvage Kebbi State from insecurity, restore and revive farming, and protect the interests of the people. He also emphasized that his decision to run is not based on personal gain, but on a commitment to a rescue mission for Kebbi State. Now we turn our attention to business news. The National Bureau of Statistics reports that Nigeria's headline inflation rate has dropped to 16.05% in October from 18.02% in September. This indicates a cooling of price pressure after months of sustained inflationary strain. On month, headline inflation rate is at 0.93%, and it shows a slower pace of price and increase compared to previous months. The year-on-year food inflation remained stable at 16.87% from September to October. Core inflation down 18.69% in October from 19.53% in September. Urban inflation down 15.65% in October from 17.50% in September, and also rural inflation down 15.86% from 18.26% in September. The Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, have announced a new partnership aimed at addressing the country's growing housing deficit. Under the collaboration, both institutions will work together to expand access to affordable home financing, particularly through non-interest mortgage products. The initiative is part of efforts to reduce Nigeria's estimated multi-million unit housing gap and improve access to sustainable housing solutions. SEC will provide regulatory support to enable the development of capital market instruments that can channel long-term funding into the housing sector, while the FMBN will deploy the financing tools to support home ownership for low and middle-income Nigerians. Now, outside our shores in business, Japan, stocks related to Japan's tourism and retail sector have fallen sharply today after China warned its citizens not to travel to the country. This comes as Tokyo and Beijing remain locked in a row over Taiwan. Shares in Japanese department stores were hit hard, with the parent company of Mitsukoshi and Isetan chains plunging by almost 12%. Other well-known brands like cosmetics company Shiseido also fell sharply. The sharp price falls came after the dispute between Beijing and Tokyo deepened in recent days. The Japanese Prime Minister, who has been a vocal critic of China and its military activities in the region, suggested this month Tokyo could take military action if Beijing attacked Taiwan. And in India, the government is increasing its energy imports from the U.S. in a bid to reduce its trade surplus with Washington, which is a key demand of the Trump administration during trade negotiations with New Delhi. Earlier today, Indian Union Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Hardeep Singh Puri, announced a deal that will see the United States supply nearly 10% of New Delhi's liquefied petroleum gas LPG imports. He pointed out that this will be the first structured contract of U.S. LPG for the Indian market, and the purchase will be based on Mount Belvieu as the benchmark for LPG purchases. Mr. Puri added that Indian state-owned oil companies have signed a one-year deal to import around 2.2 million tons per annum of LPG from the U.S. Gulf Coast. Iran has recorded a major boost in trade with Africa, with exports doubling in the first 6 months of the current Iranian year, that is, according to the country's trade promotion organization, TPO. Now, the TPO officials said the surge follows stronger diplomatic and commercial engagement, including the Iran-Africa Economic Cooperation Summit held earlier in the year. Iran also expanded its trade reach from 29 to 34 African countries during the period. While exports surged, imports from Africa declined, widening Iran's trade surplus. Authorities say the next phase of strategy will focus on exporting more value-added products and establishing local production partnerships in African markets. Iran aims to grow total trade with Africa to $3.25 billion by 2025. And that's it on business news. Just before we go, the National Emergency Management Agency has stepped up earlier efforts, that is, the relief efforts in Lagos, delivering food and essential supplies to residents hit by recent floods and windstorms in Alimosho and Agege. Working alongside LASEMA and local authorities, NEMA distributed both food and non-food items to more than 300 affected residents, providing immediate support to help cushion the impact of the disaster. The agency says the exercise reflects the federal government's ongoing commitment to assisting disaster-stricken communities. It also used the opportunity to educate residents on proper waste disposal and general safety practice to reduce future risks.
My environment was so flooded that later water got up into my room, to my bedroom. They said that up to the foam level. So some people just manage to assist in packing, Due to my disability, I can't lay my hand on anything, that just to walk out of the place and seek for help. And people came in, they helped me with my electronics and all that, pack everything out. And it took me about 4 days before those things got dry. In fact, I want to thank the federal government for this relief package, and also the NEMA director, Lagos Operation, and others who see us deemed fit to be given this type of palliative.
Disaster is the business of everyone. Disaster happens at the world level. Therefore, we should take it very, very seriously. It is better to prevent disasters than to cure it, and it is even less costly to prevent disasters. Not only that, I want to assure our people that NEMA will always try as much as possible to do sensitization, to do awareness campaign and advocacy. But then, to our businessmen, please take insurance very, very seriously. NEMA cannot give everything that you have lost to you, but insurance can. So let's insure our goods, let's insure our assets, let's insure our valuables, so that when it happens, disaster doesn't tell anybody before it happens, so that when it happens, insurance can come in and then take care of it.
That's it on the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide Mukoli.